Good evening and a very warm welcome to your special edition of News with Tonga this week. Making headlines, Their Majesties King Leopold VI and Queen Anniversary officiates at the United Nations 68th General Assembly in New York. Tonga commemorates China's 64th anniversary of independence. The structure of the Tongan families and way of living upholds peace. And Tongan Gubba Club Mailo and the Fofo'onga Club joins hands in helping disabilities. These and more stories are later on in this bulletin. I'm Fatai Whaingaa with your news for tonight. Their Majesties King Leopold VI and Queen Anniversary arrived in New York on Monday this week and were greeted by the Prime Minister Lord Tuivarano and Tonga's Ambassador and Permanent Representative to the United Nations, Mai Uliuli Tuponiwa Jr. The statement from the Prime Minister's office says Their Majesties attended a reception hosted by the US President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama for heads of states and their spouses at the Waldorf Astoria. King Leopold VI attended a luncheon hosted by the UN Secretary-General, His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, for heads of delegation to the 68th session of the UN General Assembly. The Queen and Anniversary also attended a luncheon hosted by the U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama for spouses of heads of state. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister was invited to address a high-level event on sustainable energy for the least developed countries, or LDCs, co-hosted by the President of the Republic of Benin and the Prime Minister of Norway in collaboration with the United Nations Office of the High Representative for the Least Developed Countries, Landlocked Developing Countries and Small Island Developing States. At the event, Lord Tuivarano addressed LDC member states to declare the Pacific Regional Data Repository Agreement a seeds effort to support the United Nations Initiative for Sustainable Energy for All. The Lord Prime Minister and Lady Tuivarano will attend other social events to be hosted by the United Nations Secretary-General and Mrs. Ban Zoon Taek and other heads of delegations. The Prime Minister as head of government also attends the high-level meetings of the 68th session of the General Assembly from September 23rd until the 28th, as well as to hold bilateral meetings with heads of delegations, including leaders and heads of governments from the Pacific Forum Islands. Her Majesty the Queen Mother Halaiwala Mata'aho and Her Royal Highness Princess Pilolevu Tuita took part at the Women's Annual September Roll Call of the Free Wesleyan Church of Tonga at the Centenary Church this week. Linda Filiai was there and filed this report.
Her Majesty the Queen Mother Halaiwala Mata'aho and Her Royal Highness Princess Salote Mafleo Pilolevu Tuita during officiated at the September Roll Call at the Centenary Church in Nuku'alofa. The September Roll Call is an annual program for all the women of the Free Wesleyan Church of Tonga to answer their call in church. Attending the September Roll Call program were women from different walks of life from different Free Wesleyan Church denomination in Tongatapu. This year's theme is The Bible is the Light for Life. In a remarks from the Queen Mother, Halaiwala Mata'aho, she emphasized the importance to love God with all your heart and obey His commandments. I wish you all the best for this September roll call, and we should make sure that we all have eternal life in heaven. We should also believe and love our survivor, Jesus Christ, and hope the Holy Spirit will encourage us to read the Bible and obey His commands. In the meantime, Her Royal Highness Princess Salote Mafleo Pilolevu Tuita represent the Kolofo district answering the September call. However, these are the views of the elderly women of the church about this year's September roll call. Today is very important to join this year's roll call. I thank God that I'm still alive and participate in the singing group from our village. Our God loves us and He will give us eternal life if we obey Him. I am so happy with today's September roll call, and all the program is spiritual because almost everyone had prayed for today's successful program. Meanwhile, similar September roll call for the Free Church of Tonga, and the Constitutional Church of Tonga was also held today in the main churches in Nuku'alofa.
Tonga commemorates China's 64th anniversary of independence since 1949. During the momentous occasion, issues were being boasted on both the countries' partnership. Attending the program was Her Royal Highness Princess Pilolevutuita, China's ambassador, His Excellency Wang Donghua, ministers of the ground and nobles of the realm, parliamentarians, diplomatic corps, the local Chinese community, and many guests. In a remark to represent the nation, the acting Prime Minister, Lord Ma'afu, says that China is one of Tonga's development partners for many years now. That long-standing tie has strengthened partnership of the two countries.
The Government of Tonga firmly adheres to China's core value of One China policy and our joint understanding not to interfere in each other's internal affairs. These remain the important belief in our relations as they reinforce the principle of mutual respect for each other's sovereignty. His Majesty's Government is grateful for the assistance rendered by the Chinese government, local Chinese community through generous donations, grant aid and construction projects. These projects have improved the daily lives of Tongan citizens through facilitating commerce, communication and development. China's responsive program of economic and technical cooperation has immensely benefited the government, which focused on national development.
The acting Prime Minister also proposed a toast to the leader and people of China.
Ladies and gentlemen, to the President.
Meanwhile, the Chinese ambassador, His Excellency Wang Donghua, spoke of the two nations' partnership.
As Pacific and developing countries, China and Tonga share a wide range of common interests, face the common task of development, and have the common need to further explore and strengthen cooperation. We complement each other in our respective pursuit of economic development. For instance, China has a huge market, abundant capital, and the state-of-the-art technology of which Tonga can make use to the betterment of its economic development. While Tonga boasts of its unique resources in a number of areas, including tourism, agriculture, fishery, and new energy, in which some Chinese investors have shown keen interest.
This momentous event has been commemorated annually in Tonga since China's establishment of its diplomatic office in Nuku'alofa. Although 2 million young people living in the Pacific region pose a challenge for Tonga and its neighbouring countries, however, youth are the most valuable resources for any countries as they are the future. This was stressed by Her Royal Highness Princess Salote Mafleo Pilolevutuita in her opening address of the Pacifica Medical Association and the Tonga Medical Association's combined conference in Nuku'alofa. Kalolaine Tonglava reports. The Tonga Medical Association's 69th, together with the Pacifica Medical Association's 16th Regional Conference, is held in Nuku'alofa. The theme, Youth Today, Our Future Tomorrow. In the opening remarks from the guest of honor, Her Royal Highness Princess Salote Mafleo Pilolevutuita, she stressed that the theme for the conference relates directly to the youth in Tonga.
The theme is relevant to Tonga and the region. Across the Pacific region, it is estimated that there are 2 million young people between 15 to 24 years. Here in Tonga, 20% of our population is estimated to be between 15 and 24 years old. This is a challenge to countries who are facing economic hardship, with economies that are struggling to provide employment opportunities, education systems that are struggling to provide education and skills to prepare young people for exciting futures, and the increasing disparities between young people in urban areas and rural or outlying islands. For young people, the transition to independence creates demands on governments, regional agencies, donors, and the wider communities, including health systems. The 2 million young people are indeed a challenge, but are also a potentially valuable resource whom we will rely on in the future to lead our countries, our governments, businesses, and social services. If this is indeed the case, we need to act now to begin to secure the future opportunities for our youth. We have a responsibility to invest in young people during their second decade and beyond, to build on the gains achieved over the last 20 years. If young people are given the means to become better educated, healthier, and employed, they are in a better position to make their communities more prosperous. In Tonga, we have made considerable progress in engaging young people and in fostering leadership skill and development.
Her Royal Highness also emphasized the vital role of the people working in the health sector and also praised the good working relations between the medical associations of Tonga and the Pacifica.
The health sector has a unique role in ensuring that young people are able to access health services, that they are well prepared to become good parents, and that they are able to protect the health of their families and communities. I would like to finally comment on the partnership that has developed over many years between the Pacifica Medical Association and our own Tonga Medical Association. It demonstrates the best in respect, collegiality, in capacity building, and in partnership, working collectively to benefit all in the region. We look forward to hearing your deliberations this week and hope you are able to take some time out to enjoy the people and the beauty of our country.
During the opening ceremony of the Regional Medical Conference, the Chief Executive Officer of the Pacifica Medical Association, Mrs. Debbie Sorensen, says that the younger generation needs to be inspired to work in the health sector. Meanwhile, in the vote of thanks from the Director of Health, Dr. Sialia Kauola, he thanked Her Royal Highness for her encouragement for this conference. The Tonga Medical Association, or TMA, was established by His late Majesty King Taufa'ahau Tupo IV in the 1940s, with only 10 doctors as members. At present, close to 60 doctors are current members of the association, with its president, Dr. Paula Vivili. Also present at last night's opening of the Regional Medical Conference includes the Honourable Minister of Health, Lord Tuiafitu, the Honourable Minister of Internal Affairs, Lord Vaya, diplomatic corps, doctors from around region who are members of the Pacifica Medical Association. This regional meeting will run until Friday. Reporting for Television Tonga News, I'm Kalolaini Tonglava.
A new book titled 100 Fathom Square has been launched in New Zealand. The book talks about Tonga in the 1950s. The Director for Pacific Island Studies of Massey University in Auckland, Professor Malakai Kolomatangi, told Radio and Television Tonga News that it was launched by Her Royal Highness Princess Melisiulik Tapu Kalaniwalfotofili in Auckland. Sinlatu tells you more.
Professor Malakai Kolomatangi says the authors of 100 Fathoms Square are New Zealand surveyors Bruce Alexander and Larry Wordsworth. The authors were in Tonga on a request from Her late Majesty Queen Salote Tupo III to help divide tax allotments. He says that there are several pictures in the book of Tonga in the 1950s. I know that Princess Siuiluk Tapu was moved to see a picture of her late father, who was Prime Minister at the time. The book was prioritized by the late King George Tupo V and his family, as they're also very significant to them and the country as well. At that time, Her late Majesty Queen Salote Tupo III was the leader of Tonga. Professor Kolomatangi says the book is of great significance to the kingdom. The book is very important. The Tongan word, Dao e Taha, originated from when the two surveyors divided tax allotments and is known in the English language as 100 Fathoms Square. The content of the book is important to Tonga socially, economically, technically, and constitutionally. When the two men were in Tonga in 1957, they took photos of Tonga and wrote of events that occurred in the 1950s. There are also pictures of villages in the outer islands of Ha'apai, Vava'u, Ewa, and the two Niuas. The director for Pacific Islands Studies of Massey University says the authors also played a very important role in Tonga's history as they helped in the amendment of the Land Act, giving 16-year-old boys an opportunity to register land. Professor Kolamatangi adds that the book is based on diaries and letters wrote to their families while they lived in Tonga. The authors are now in their 80s, in which they last visited Tonga in 2008. Professor Malakai Kolamatangi hopes that the book will be available for sale in Tonga later this year. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinilado.
The structure of the Tongan family's own way of living upholds peace. It sustains respect, maintaining relationships with others, with the additional 4 golden strands that makes up the lifestyle of Tongans led to sustainable peace. His Serene Highness Prince Tungi made the statement while marking the World Peace Day in Nuku'alofa. His Serene Highness Prince Tungi was the guest of honour in Tonga's commemoration of the World Peace Day last Saturday, September 21st. In his remarks, he says there are challenges faced by many who are trying to promote peace in the kingdom, which includes school brawls and domestic violence. These factors, however, contribute to the loss in Tonga's economy, especially with the attempt to bring back law and order in the country.
Peace is not only the absence of war and violence in areas of conflict, but also the absence or reduction of violence in our homes and communities. The intention is to put love first, then peace follows, which is about creating peace through individuals and communities, taking responsibility for shaping a new world by increasing love, care, and compassion for all humanity. Creating and expanding peace is an inside job. We can help co-create an energetic field of peace as we choose peace within our own hearts. Inner peace oils our resistances to change and increases the natural flow of our hearts, inner guidance and support through personal and collective changes. Increasing our love and connection in day-to-day interactions can be the missing piece in the peace equation. As we release more of the love that we truly are, that peace will seek out that environment.
Also present at the program was the chairman of the National Committee for Strengthening Capacity for Peace and Development CBED, but also the Speaker of Parliament, Lord Fafanua. In his welcoming remarks, he says a good role model for peace in Tonga should start from home. Peace to many means living without fear nor violence. However, we cannot receive nor uphold such peace unless making serenity with the communities and the nation as a whole. It is the related stakeholders' role to promote and educate peace amongst the children and youth. The program started with a prayer service at the Wuna Wharf in Nuku'alofa, then continues on to the Peace Parade along the Taufa'aha Road to the Dewhaiwa Park, led by the Honourable Minister of Internal Affairs, Lord Waia. Attending the program were ministers of the ground, church leaders, diplomatic corps, youth groups, students, and many guests. World Peace Day was approved by the United Nations for its member countries to mark since 2002. The Ministry of Agriculture, Food, Forestry and Fisheries have begun delegating the government's assistance funds to the tune of 1 million pa'anga, which is available for local growers to loan from.
This comes after the completion of the operation carried out by the Ministry of Agriculture to select successful applicants toward this loan. In a speech from the Honourable Minister of Agriculture, Sengsta Saulala, over 20 local companies requested to loan some of the fund, with only 2 companies have been approved. We are very pleased today to start delegating government fund toward the agriculture sector to local growers who have applied to loan from. I understand that harvesting season for squash has started, and despite the fact that your 2 companies haven't received any income out of exporting it to Japan, but you receive fund today to help with the work that you carry out. The government is hoping to improve the squash industries and its export overseas because squash produce is one of the main sources of income for the country, but have decreased its export amount in the past years. I hope the money that we're given today help with all the work that you carry out and help boost our economy as well. Meanwhile, the Secretary of the Agricultural Fund Committee under the Ministry of Agriculture, Metui Falesiva, says under the contract for this loan, both exporters are required to begin the repaying for this loan within 3 months from now with an interest rate of 1%. The two squash exporters which were approved on these schemes include the Hihifo Export Limited, whom loaned 100,000 per anga, and Mark Shipping, who loaned an amount of 80,000 per anga. The amount released today is not the exact amount that they requested, but the committee only agreed with this amount just to make sure that farmers benefit from this fund. Also, during the signing ceremony, the manager of Mark Shipping, Maake Faosfolau, thanked the Ministry of Agriculture for granting this loan, which will help with their exporting operation. The 1 million Paanga Fund for Agriculture is now administered under the Ministry of Agriculture.
The ex-students of the Community Education Training Centre, CETC, of the Secretariat of the South Pacific Community celebrates its 50th anniversary this week. The institute was established in 1963, aiming at empowering women for development. The event was held at the Dateline Hotel. Television and Radio Tonga news reporter Sin Lato was there and filed this report.
Nobles of the realm and foreign diplomats attend the program to mark the significant role of the institute in empowering women in Tonga. In the keynote address from the guest of honor, Lord Vaya, he highlighted several programs held this month to underline the importance of women, such as the Women's Roll Call in the month of September and passing of the Family Protection Bill.
I am sure that it is not a coincidence that the Tonga alumni of SPC, CETC have picked this day to mark the 50th Golden Jubilee of the Community Education Training Centre. The month of September in Tonga is a special month for women. It is when women are appreciated by society, their loved ones, the church and the community in the Whakaseptember. It is a month where women are thankful for their livelihoods, their spiritual lives, and their families. This special day, Your Excellencies, is even more special. That is also marked in September.
The principal of the school, Dr. Liamaka, also spoke of SPC's vision towards women taking part in the CETC program.
After training and on return to their homes, these women would pass on their new skills within their communities and through the establishment of women's groups. And this became the enduring, long-term vision which was the basis for the establishment of the center.
The program concluded with the inspection of the women's works led by the guest of honor, Lord Vaya, and the Speaker of Parliament, Lord Fafanua, followed by foreign diplomats and many guests. These were taught at the CETC. Meanwhile, the ex-students are not only celebrating the school's 50th anniversary, but also mark the new era of the institute, where it will be handed over to operate under the umbrella of the University of the South Pacific.
In Parliament, it was clear from the debates that the People's Representative for Tonga No. 1, Akilisi Pohiva, misbehaved during the whole House Committee's deliberations last year. The issue was raised during the reading of the report from the Parliament Standing Committee for Privileges by its chairman, Honourable Sasifa Totafaiva. Kalolaini Tonglawa has that report.
The reading of the second report 2013 relates to a complaint or petition where the People's Representative for Tongatapu No. 1, Akilisi Pohiva, was accused for misconduct last year. In the report, the work towards this matter was based on the petition number 15 and 16 and the response from the People's Representative towards this. According to the report, the committee recognized some of the issues raised in the petition, which included the content of the response received from the People's Representative. In Mr. Pohiva's response, he stated that he does not believe it is correct to take out a statement from the record which he also stressed that what harm has those words bring for the country if it is recorded on Parliament's minute. The People's Representative for Tonga Tapu No. 1 also stressed that there are no impact of this regarding the offensive or cursed word that he used, because the word is used in many occasions, even inside the church. However, it was clear from the report from the Privileged Standing Committee, some of the public were concerned and dissatisfied over the offensive language from Mr. Bohiva used in Parliament during the Whole House Committee's deliberations dated back in September 26 of last year. The committee was able to meet with the People's Representative for his comments. Meanwhile, during the reading of the report, the Chairman of Parliament's Standing Committee for Privileges, the Honourable Minister of Police, Prisons and Revenue, Sosifatu Tafaiva, finalised the suggestion from the committee to the Speaker and members of the House. Moreover, Parliament approved the report from the Standing Committee for Privileges and also the suggestions made. Parliament then continued deliberations on the report from the members of the House regarding their parliamentary visits. This morning, the parliamentary visit report from the People's Representative for Vava'o No. 14, who's also the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Lisiate Akolo, was approved in the House as well. For Television Tonga News, I'm Kalolaine Tonglava.
Issues and problems with deportees will be submitted to the 2014 United Nations Assembly. The statement was made by the People's Representative for Toantapu Constituency 5, Dr. Isaac Eke, during deliberations in Parliament during the week. Kalolaine Tonglava reports.
The issue was brought to Parliament during the submission of reports on members' parliamentary visits to their respective constituency. According to the People's Representative for Tonga Tapu No. 5, Isaac Eke, the submission of the issue on deportees to the United Nations was brought up by him and representatives from Tonga during an international conference in Bangkok, focused on a theme called People and Development. He said it's a 10-year program aiming to raise awareness on everyday issues affecting the people. It involves health, education, and migration. Mr. Eke told members of the House that no one raised the problem concerning deportees except for Tonga's representatives. He reiterated that the concern was based on why people are being deported to places where they were born. After all, they were legally staying in those countries. Mr. Eke said other issues related to the new Millennium Development Goals was also discussed during the Bangkok conference. The Parliament continued their deliberation and passed the report of the Tonga Tapu No. 8 on his parliamentary visit to his constituency. The parliamentary discussions are broadcast live on Radio Tonga 1 and Radio Tonga 2 or FM 90.
One of the main concerns brought up by the People's Representative for Toantapu Constituency 5, Dr. Isaac Eke, was a concern from the people of Nukunuku regarding the syllabus authored in primary school. This is in regards to the English subject syllabus in the primary level, which is only taught beginning at Class 4 levels and higher, but not at Class 1. The People's Representative for Hapai Molefi now supports this. Kalalaine Tonglava reports.
This is part of the concerns raised during the parliamentary report from the People's Representative for Tonga Tapu No. 5, Isaac Eke, where 16 villages and an island are registered under. In response, the Honourable Minister of Education and Training, Dr. Anna Taufelungaki, says Cabinet approved for this new policy in 2008, which came into effect in 2009. Dr. Taufelungaki says the reason for this is to first equip the primary students with the foundation of the Tongan language before they are taught on the English subject. The Honourable Education Minister says this aims at preserving and maintaining the Tongan culture, which revolves around the Tongan language. Dr. Taufelungaki also told the People's Representative for Tonga Tapu No. 5 that they believe if students understand their own language, then it will be easier for them to learn about the English subject. Meanwhile, other concerns were raised from the parliamentary visit report of Tonga Tapu No. 5 includes the concern for the water systems, road maintenance, and also a demand to install the tsunami alert systems in order to alert the people in the Western District in times of natural disasters. Also, during Parliament's discussions yesterday on the issue, the People's Representative for Hawaii 12, Mo'alefi, now says Tonga's education systems needs reform. This is because young talented students should not be declined of any educational opportunities, such as teaching them the English subject at a young age. Reporting for Television Tonga News, I'm Kalolaine Tonglava.
New Millennium Export has started backing its squash produce for its foreign market. The harvest and packing season for squash also provides temporary employment for many people. Fonoave Koso reports.
Workers of the New Millennium Export Company are preparing the squash which will be shipped to its foreign market. This begins with the careful selection, washing and packing of squash produce. The manager, Lesieli Namoa, says they buy squash from local farmers and employ workers to prepare and pack it in boxes. We hired more than 300 workers to prepare the squash for export. The ship arrives October 7th. The squash produce this year is much better than last year's. This is New Millennium Export's first shipment of squash to its Japanese market. Fonoave Koso for Television Tonga News.
People with disabilities are the most important members in a community, and they should be well treated and given a special attention. Speaking to Radio and Television Tonga News, member of the Milo Tongan Gava Club from Homa says they're working together with the members of the Fofo'anga Club preparing food for those with disabilities.
These are people with disabilities, together with staff from Da'alonga, Ofatu and Amanaki centres at the Fofo'anga Tongan Cover Club in Nuku'alofa. This initiative from the Fofo'anga Club in collaboration with the Milo Club is a monthly program which are held at the last Thursday of every month. According to Mr. Nonovahe from Homa, the purpose of this volunteering program is these are the people who cannot help themselves. We feel that this is our greatest role, to prepare food and distribute it to feed people who cannot help themselves. They need to feel special. Also, Lavinia Sardini from Da'alonga Centre says that people in the centre are always pleased to join this monthly event. The people always call this day a Christmas day, for they know it is the last Thursday of the month and will be coming to Fofo'anga. More than 20 people with disability attended yesterday's luncheon program together with their guardians. Nasiu Falekaono for Television Tonga News.
And that wraps up this evening's special edition of News with Tonga this week. Thanking you all for watching. Good evening.